Welcome to Icons Forever, where Thomas honors the unforgettable lives of extraordinary people who continue to live on through their legacy. This channel celebrates beloved figures from film, music, sports, and culture, whose talent, passion, and impact touched millions. Join us as we remember their stories, reflect on their influence, and keep their memory alive for generations ahead. Lilias Folan passed away at an assisted living facility in Loveland, Ohio, at the age of 90. She is remembered as a calm and steady presence who helped introduce yoga to American audiences at a time when it was still unfamiliar to many households. Through her work, she brought a sense of accessibility and ease to practices that were often seen as distant or complex. A pioneer in making yoga, Accessible Folan became widely known through her PBS program, Lila's Yoga and You, which first aired in 1970 and continued for nearly 3 decades. At a time when wellness television was still developing, her show stood out for its simplicity and warmth. She focused on making yoga approachable for everyday viewers, encouraging small, mindful movements that could be practiced at home without pressure or intimidation. A teaching style built on calm and care. Her instruction emphasized breath, comfort, and gentle movement rather than intensity or physical strain. This approach made her particularly beloved among viewers who turned to her program for relaxation, routine, and emotional balance. Many described her presence on screen as reassuring, almost like a quiet companion guiding them through moments of stillness and reflection. A lasting influence on wellness. Culture beyond television. Lilias Folan is remembered as someone who helped shape how yoga and wellness were introduced to American homes. Her work contributed to a broader understanding of yoga as something inclusive and adaptable to all ages and abilities. Today, her legacy continues through the generations who first discovered mindfulness and movement through her guidance, remembering her not only as an instructor, but as a gentle voice of calm in everyday life. Ferlin Husky was one of country music's most expressive voices, remembered for the sincerity and warmth he brought to every performance. In the 1950s and 1960s, his songs felt less like recordings and more like conversations, simple, heartfelt, and deeply human. Tracks such as Gone and Wings of a Dove connected with listeners in a personal way, carrying emotions that felt familiar and comforting. Shaping a changing sound. Husky played an important role in the evolution of country music, helping to bridge traditional styles with a smoother, more melodic approach. His ability to blend emotion with accessibility allowed his music to reach a wide audience and influence the direction of the genre for years to come. His contributions were later honored with induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame, recognizing the lasting value of his work. A legacy that still resonates. Even after his passing at the age of 85, Ferlin Husky's music continues to hold meaning for listeners. His songs remain timeless, not because of complexity, but because of their honesty and emotional clarity. There is a quiet strength in the way he sang, one that still resonates today. In the end, his legacy lives on through the moments his music created and the feelings it continues to inspire. DJ Daniel Ware, widely known as DJ Dan, passed away at the age of 57, leaving behind a respected legacy in electronic and house music. He emerged as an influential figure in the development of the West Coast house sound, contributing to a style known for its driving rhythms, energetic feel, and strong connection to club culture. Over the years, his work helped shape a sound that became closely associated with dance floors and underground music scenes. Signature sound and club influenced DJ. Dan became known for producing tracks that were designed to move audiences and create memorable live moments. Songs such as the Phone Track and Zipper Track became well known within DJ sets and festival performances, appreciated for their distinctive grooves and playful production style. His music often blended rhythm, texture, and momentum in a way that kept dance floors engaged and energized. Career longevity and industry respect. Across several decades, DJ Dan built a reputation as a consistent and reliable presence in electronic music. He was respected by fellow DJs and fans for his ability to maintain relevance while staying true to his signature sound. His contributions helped define a period of growth for house music, particularly on the West Coast scene. Legacy and lasting impact. DJ Dan is remembered as a pioneer who helped shape the identity of modern house music. His tracks continue to be played in clubs, festivals, and playlists, reflecting an enduring influence on electronic music culture. His legacy lives on through the energy, rhythm, and creativity he brought to the genre. Priscilla Anderson was a talented hip-hop dancer and choreographer who built a respected career in the entertainment industry. She performed with major artists, including Britney Spears, Rihanna, and Snoop Dogg, contributing to high-energy stage productions with precision and creativity. Her professional journey later led her to choreography work with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, where she helped shape routines seen by wide audiences, including appearances connected to America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Public life and recognition. She became more widely known through the Netflix series Country Ever After, which followed her life with her husband, country singer Coffee Anderson, and their family. The show highlighted her role as both a performer and a mother, offering a personal view of her strength, creativity, and everyday life beyond the stage. Legacy and remembrance. Priscilla Anderson passed away at the age of 45 after a long battle with cancer. She is remembered for her artistic talent, resilience, and deep devotion to her family. Throughout her illness, she often expressed faith, love, and gratitude, leaving behind a message centered on courage and connection. Her legacy continues through the impact she made in dance, television, and the lives of those who knew and admired her. Alan Osmond passed away at 76 after living for nearly 4 decades with multiple sclerosis. Known as the eldest member of the Osmonds, he was part of a family group that became a defining sound of 1970s pop culture. His life in music reflected discipline, collaboration, and a strong sense of family unity. Strength in later years. He lived with multiple sclerosis for nearly 4 decades. Rather than being defined by it, he adapted with patience and acceptance, shifting focus from performance to perspective. Friends and family often described his resilience as quiet but steady, shaped by reflection, gratitude, and a deep appreciation for everyday moments. Even as challenges increased, he maintained dignity and a thoughtful outlook on life, focusing on what could still be shared with others. This approach influenced those around him and became part of how he was remembered. A life of service. Even away from the stage, Alan remained devoted to supporting others. Whether through music, family leadership, or quiet encouragement, he valued connection and kindness. Those who knew him often pointed to his calm presence and willingness to listen, describing him as someone who led with humility rather than attention. This steady approach to life and relationships left a strong impression on collaborators and loved ones alike. A legacy that continues. Alan Osmond's legacy continues through the Osmonds and the generations inspired by their music. His story reflects not only success in entertainment, but also endurance, humility, and family devotion. He is remembered for the steady presence he brought to both his work and personal life, leaving behind a message that purpose is found in connection, care, and the lives we influence along the way. Henry Winkler was born in 1945 in New York City, into a family shaped by survival and sacrifice. His parents were German Jewish refugees who had escaped Nazi Germany, carrying deep emotional scars from displacement and loss. In their new life in America, stability and achievement became everything. Success was not optional in their household. It was a form of gratitude for having survived at all. Henry, however, grew up with a mind that did not fit neatly into the expectations placed on him. Reading was difficult, letters often seemed to shift and blur, and academic tasks that came easily to others required enormous effort from him. Instead of understanding his struggle, those around him interpreted it as carelessness or lack of ability. Over time, repeated criticism and harsh labels affected his self-confidence. He began to internalize the idea that he was simply not smart enough, even though his curiosity and emotional intelligence were strong. What he did not know at the time was that he was dyslexic, a condition that was not widely understood in schools during his childhood. Without support or awareness, his early years became a quiet battle between his inner potential and the limited understanding of those around him. Finding a voice. Through performance. Amid academic struggles, Henry discovered something that changed his life: acting. While schoolwork made him feel limited, the stage offered him freedom. In theater, he did not need to process text in the same way or compete in traditional academic terms. Instead, he could memorize, observe, and express emotion through movement and voice. Acting allowed him to step outside of himself and become someone confident, expressive, and in control, qualities he often felt were missing in his daily life. This creative space became a refuge where he could succeed without being judged by the same standards that constantly made him feel inadequate. His participation in school productions and later theater programs gave him a sense of identity and purpose. Although his parents did not fully understand or support his passion, Henry remained committed to it. For him, acting was not just an interest, it was a lifeline. It gave him the confidence to believe that he had something valuable to offer the world, even when academic systems suggested otherwise. This early connection to performance laid the foundation for everything that would come later in his life and career. Training, struggle, and determination at Yale. Despite academic challenges, Henry's dedication to acting eventually earned him admission to the Yale School of Drama, one of the most respected acting programs in the United States. This was a turning point that should have erased all doubt he had about himself. At Yale, he was surrounded by talented peers and mentors who pushed him to refine his craft. However, even in this prestigious environment, he still faced internal and external challenges. Reading scripts remained difficult, and he often had to rely on memorization techniques and repetition rather than traditional study methods. What made Henry stand out was not ease, but effort. He worked harder than most of his peers simply to keep up, and that discipline shaped him into a deeply committed performer. Despite his struggles, he developed strong acting instincts and emotional depth. Yet, even after graduating, doubt from his past still lingered, especially from his family, who remained skeptical about his career path. Still, Henry left Yale determined to prove that his differences did not define his limitations, but rather his resilience. The unexpected rise of a cultural icon. Henry Winkler's life changed dramatically when he auditioned for a small role in a television show set in the 1950s. That show, Happy Days, introduced the world to Arthur Fonzarelli, a character originally intended to be minor. However, Henry's interpretation of the role transformed everything. Instead of playing a one-dimensional tough guy, he infused the character with depth, charm, and emotional complexity. Audiences immediately connected with him, and what was supposed to be a supporting role quickly became the heart of the series. Fonzie became a cultural phenomenon, symbolizing confidence, style, and effortless cool. Henry's performance made him one of the most recognizable faces on television. At the peak of the show's popularity, he was celebrated worldwide, and his character influenced fashion, language, and youth culture. Yet behind the success, Henry's personal identity began to blur with the character he played. He was admired everywhere, but often only as Fonzie, not as himself. This blending of identity would later become both his greatest achievement and his most difficult burden. Fame, pressure, and the loss of identity. As Happy Days reached massive success, Henry Winkler experienced the double-edged nature of fame. On one hand, he had achieved global recognition and financial stability. On the other hand, he began to lose control over how the world saw him. Fans and industry professionals alike could not separate him from the character he played. This led to an unexpected challenge. While he was loved, he was also typecast. Casting directors struggled to imagine him in roles outside of Fonzie, limiting his opportunities as an actor. The leather jacket and signature style became symbolic chains, even though they had made him famous. Henry began to feel trapped inside his own success. While the audience saw confidence, he privately dealt with insecurity and frustration. He wanted to explore different characters, emotions, and stories. But Hollywood was reluctant to see him beyond the image they had created. Over time, this disconnect between public admiration and professional limitation became increasingly difficult, shaping the next phase of his career in unexpected ways. Years of reinvention and professional silence. After Happy Days ended, Henry Winkler entered a long and challenging period in his career. Despite his fame, opportunities became limited. Many roles offered to him were either too similar to his previous character or lacked depth. He made a conscious decision not to repeat himself, turning down projects that felt creatively restrictive. While this choice preserved his artistic integrity, it also led to years of reduced visibility in Hollywood. During this time, he explored directing, producing, and teaching, slowly rebuilding his identity as a creative professional beyond acting. Financial stability remained, but artistic fulfillment was harder to find. The entertainment industry, which once celebrated him, seemed uncertain about how to place him. This period tested his patience and resilience. Instead of giving in to frustration, he continued working quietly, focusing on smaller roles and creative projects. Though he was no longer in the spotlight, he never left the industry entirely. This long phase of reinvention became a crucial part of his journey, even if it was not immediately recognized as such. Understanding dyslexia and turning pain into purpose. A major turning point in Henry Winkler's life came when his stepson was diagnosed with dyslexia. As he learned more about the condition, Henry recognized his own lifelong struggles in the description. For the first time, he understood that his difficulties with reading were not a reflection of intelligence, but of how his brain processed information. This realization reframed his entire childhood experience. The labels he had internalized for years were no longer accurate. Instead of feeling broken, he began to understand that he had simply been unsupported. This awareness brought both relief and emotional pain, as it highlighted how misunderstood he had been growing up. Rather than keeping this discovery private, Henry eventually used it as a source of purpose. He began advocating for children with learning differences and co-authored children's books featuring a dyslexic protagonist who succeeds through creativity and persistence. Through this work, he transformed personal struggle into meaningful contribution, helping others feel seen and understood in ways he had once needed himself. A career reborn through new roles. After decades away from major recognition, Henry Winkler experienced a creative resurgence later in life. His role in Arrested Development introduced him to a new generation of audiences, showcasing his ability to perform subtle, comedic characters beyond his earlier fame. This was followed by even more complex and critically acclaimed performances, particularly in the series Barry, where he played a deeply layered acting coach. This role allowed him to draw from decades of personal experience, success, rejection, reinvention, and vulnerability. Critics praised his performance, recognizing a depth that had always existed but was previously overlooked. For Henry, this period was not about returning to fame, but about finally being seen fully as an actor with range and emotional truth. The industry that once confined him began to acknowledge his versatility. These later roles did not erase his past, but expanded it, proving that artistic identity does not have an expiration date and that reinvention is always possible. Even after decades in the same profession, recognition, legacy, and a life fully embraced. At 72, Henry Winkler received an Emmy Award for his performance in Barry, marking a powerful moment of recognition after decades in the industry. The standing ovation he received was not just for one role, but for an entire lifetime of work, persistence, and resilience. In his acceptance speech, he reflected on patience, gratitude, and endurance, capturing the emotional weight of his journey. This moment symbolized more than professional success. It represented the closing of a long emotional circle. Over time, Henry had built a legacy that extended far beyond acting. His advocacy for dyslexia awareness, his children's books, and his mentorship of young actors became equally important parts of his identity. Today, his story is often seen as one of transformation rather than limitation. From a child who struggled in silence to an actor who became a cultural icon and later a respected elder in the industry, Henry Winkler's life demonstrates that success is not defined by speed or timing, but by persistence, adaptability, and the willingness to keep going even when recognition takes decades to arrive.